Hello and welcome everybody to Metaverse Live, our show of news reviews, haggling, messing around, arguing and debate. And I have pleasure in introducing our panel for tonight. First person I want to come to is Sigmund Leominster. Hi Sigmund.
Hi, good evening and welcome back to everybody to Metaverse Live.
And next I'm going to introduce you to Mal Burns-Writer. How are you doing, Mal?
Hi, sir. Good to be back.
And finally, but I suppose leaving the best till last, is Frolic Mills. I'm pretty sure for our audience in Worlds that he doesn't need much introduction. However, Frolic is representative of the best of Second Life. Hi, Frolic. How are you doing?
Hello, darling. How are you?
Well, I am a little tired after the weekend, but you had masses and masses of shows, but we'll come to that a bit later. And also, I should point out that we have some gorgeous supermodels who we'll be seeing later, looking fabulous over on the other side of our set here, along with Belle Roussel, who has got something very special to show, I believe is the prize for the finalists of the upcoming Miss Virtual World 2012 contest. So, without any more ado, I am going to turn first to Sigmund Leominster. Now, our format of this show is that we have 3 or 4 subjects, either suggested by audiences, or they've written into us and suggested them, or they're common in the news over the week. And we get somebody to introduce that subject, one of the panel here. And Sigmund has proposed this himself, and it's actually to do with what, Sigmund? Yeah, he's got 3 minutes at the very most to tell us all about this.
3 minutes. That's right, and I noticed you mentioned it was this place was full of supermodels, and us, I suppose, are the other ones there. Not only do we not get awards, but we don't get supermodel status. But never mind, that's not what we're here for. Well, unless people have been living under a rock, and quite honestly I have, because this crept up on me very, very, very slowly, Linden Lab has released its new Linden Realms, which is a little bit like a game within a game. And as we know so far, many people in SL play games and role play already, so it's not like this is new insofar as nobody's done this before. But this is a very definite move by Linden Lab to introduce more people to the Second Life by presenting them with more of a game environment. And Linden Realms, or LR, it was originally called, which people thought was Lost Realms, but it's obviously not. Linden Realms is really a game format, and what happens here is that you can do things like go on quests, you can find jewels, and you can make friends, and this all sounds terribly familiar to anybody who's played World of Warcraft or any other game that's out there. But what you can do is you sign up for Second Life, and then once you're in Second Life, you can enter the realms. Now, you can't TP there as normal, but you can get there through little portals. So you find yourself a portal, you go in, and you take part in the excitement that is Linden Realms. Now, I've got to be pretty honest here. I have not taken part yet, so it would be unfair of me to have any criticism here. But what I thought was interesting in terms of discussion was that this is very different in a sense from what we usually expect of Linden Lab, and in terms of this is for some people I think going to be a little worrying because it takes us more along that game path. Now, as I say, it is a game within a game, so other people will not be worried by this, but I think the real discussion here is what's this all about? What's happening here? Why is Linden Lab doing this? We already know that they've been creating certain tools, and Mal may know more about this than I do. Mal may know more about the sort of tools, but there are tools that have been working with software in order to help people play this game, and those will be available to regular Second Life users. So there has been some development going on. But also you need to have the latest version of the Second Life viewer in order to do this. So basically we've now got an option to go play Linden Realms. You can jump around in these different places and you can collect real lindens, although I understand that you have to collect a hell of a lot of gems if you are going to make any real money at this. But that didn't stop people in World of Warcraft employing people by their hundreds and thousands to collect these things and make money. So maybe there's a potential for abuse here. Anyhow, that's what we've got. Yeah, there we are. So that's what we got. Linden Realms, a game within a game, something we can play. I'm just curious to think what people think about this. Is this a good idea? Is it a bad idea? Does it even matter? And has anybody else tried it?
Okay,
Panel.
well, what I'm going to say here is this. This game actually started off as part of a premium membership package, and it looks to me that was a sort of beta, and they were using the premium membership to test the beta. Although it may well have been done as a launch for premium membership, I don't know. I haven't had time to go in there. I haven't seen any publicity about it, except now for it's on the front page and the login. I would really like to have a go, I suppose, because I haven't played a game, as it were, for quite some time, not since I came in here, really, and started doing something serious. Frolic, do you have time for games?
Listen, I think this is actually a really, really good idea by Second Life. And you know what? And I'm actually quite surprised they didn't do it before. I mean, consider where the new CEO came from. I mean, I don't know if you guys remember this, but I'm quite a gamer myself, and he was the creator of EverQuest. And I've been saying for the longest time, and I mean not just to my friends or, I don't know, to my mother or something, but actually to Linden Labs, they need to give new users a purpose in-game within the first 10 minutes after they res. Otherwise, they go and never come back. And this is actually a really good idea, Dusa. I hope that it's easy to find for new users. Because if somebody comes into SL and they have something to jump into, and, you know, every game like World of Warcraft or all of those games, you know, the minute you res, the first thing you hear is, "We need you. You are the savior of our world, and you must come to our salvation." And they give you some kind of sword, and you have to go kill a pig or some crap like that. And when you come back, you are the hero of the universe. And you know what? That, as silly as it may sound, gives a new user something fun to do. And this, I believe, is a great idea, because once, you know, in the meantime, I mean, the learning curve for Second Life is so high and so difficult. I mean, you have to be an expert in I don't know how many programs. You know, Photoshop, the sculpture, I don't know. And so, you know, now if we can keep them interested in something, you know, a little game or a little activity, and win some lindens, and then you come back and you buy yourself, I don't know, a piece of hair or something. Well, I think the population will start to grow, which is something I'm really concerned about, because the population has been going down steadily. And, you know, I keep reading in all the important newspapers, you know, whatever happened to Second Life and how it's falling apart. And I was actually very concerned about this. And I hope that this works. And I hope they advertise that little, I mean, I don't even know about this, you know, if I don't know about this, I know that many people know about this, if I'm honest. Not that I know it all, but, you know, I do get a lot of news, you know. You can
Exactly.
So I think it's a great idea, Sigmund, and I thank you for bringing this up, because I think it does have a place within new users, and I hope people, you know, I hope it's good enough for people to fall in love with the game and stay in Second Life a little longer. We all know 80% of the people who actually log in, log out, and never come back. So that statistic is pretty strong. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly accurate, but I know there's a lot of people that do that. So hopefully we'll increase the population, and we'll have some more users, and hopefully bring up the economy. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed for sure.
Well, maybe we should have self-replicating avatars in order to increase the population. Mal, come on, you're quiet, unusually.
Well, waiting for everybody else, really. You know, I don't like this expression, a game within a game. To me, Second Life is a virtual world, immersive space. But it's not a game. It has games in it, so I think it's fair to have games in Second Life, but I don't like the thought that Second Life's a game, and therefore this is a game within a game. That said, Rodvik Linden, the CEO of Linden Labs, these Ed comes from a gaming background, and so the fact that he's latched onto something like this as a promotional device, doesn't surprise me at all. As you say, this has been around quite a few weeks now, and my partner Tara, in fact, has been in there, even if I haven't. It was offered to premium members really as a sort of special preview, beta or whatever, and now it's literally just gone public, and it is free to anybody who's a Second Life resident, although, as said, you do have to be in the right viewer. I have some rather curious things about it. Although I'm not particularly a gamer, I do enjoy going on hunts in World, and searching for these crystals or whatever does remind me of a hunt a bit. I also do I've always liked playing with environments, like Myst and things like that. So, so long as it's not a shoot 'em up, I'm fairly happy. And I can see that for some new people coming in, especially if Roderick has any plans to market it to the kind of audience he knows, who are into gaming, it would make sense that something is on the menu they can do when they come in, like this is there. The thing that really surprises me about it is that it is it's a new trend for Linden Labs. Forgetting the fact it's a game, it's actually something the lab are providing for residents, whereas the rule of thumb in Second Life has always been it's a user-created environment. And this actually marks a stepping stone to me because it's a Linden-created environment, within the existing environment. I also wonder if it's being used as a bit of a sandbox for new facilities. For example, in OpenSim, for example, we have these hypergates which we can just walk through to change from one grid to another grid. It saves pressing the teleport button and locking into a new grid. In Second Life, if you want to go somewhere, you've got to look up the location or follow a taxi link and then press the teleport button and wait for the whoosh noises to take you wherever you want to go. Whereas the idea that you can actually set up a doorway, a sort of hypergate portal with an encoded destination and literally walk through the door and walk out the other side in the new location is a great thing. I mean, it means you can res doorways on your sims to you might have affiliate sims, or you might have multiple sims in multiple locations of your own. So the idea that you can res doors for people to go through to those destinations is great. The other thing that is slightly disturbing, and I suspect they'll have to seriously modify it if they allow it, the greater users to have control of it, is they've got a system which auto mounts heads-up displays in your interface. So you get a special heads-up display, a HUD, to control the game. And normally, if you go to, say, a MadP game, there's a company called MadP who make wonderful games in Second Life, they give you a HUD for each game you partake in. But you manually load it, and sometimes you'll actually prepare a special avatar so you can wear that HUD without getting in the way of your other stuff. And when you finish with it or you don't want it, you take it off again. Whereas what Linden's devised in Linden Realms is a system that actually automatically puts that HUD on whether you want it or not. It may even wipe out the position of another HUD you're already wearing. And I guess it's fine for this game that they're launching, but if you can imagine every resident in Second Life having the ability to force you to wear a HUD, you just imagine going to a shop, and 5 visits to 5 shops, and I've got no real estate left. So I've got my reservations on that front. But to me, it seems to be a bit of a mix of experimentation, a little bit of something for the gamers, who Roderick's probably chasing, but and something that's not user created, but
okay.
It's just there.
Hold on, Mal. I just want to say, so is everybody in favour of this effectively as a sort of marketing tool? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I
For
would
me,
be,
yes.
Yeah, what I think they're not doing at the moment, which would be nice, is to do a bit more of the marketing. I think, like Frolic said, not a lot of people know about this. And if you go to just a Second Life homepage, so if you've never been to Second Life and you wanted to find out you typed in Second Life and went to the page. There's nothing on that page about it, so there's nothing there yet. You only see it when you open up the Second Life viewer. So number one, I think they need to push this a little more. And what I'm really curious to know a little more about is how we expect to get people to move from that into the greater world of Second Life, because there are those people, I think, who like to play the games, but what we really want are those people to go in there, earn some lindens, and then find they can do something else, and then spend those lindens, which would be nice. So I'm curious to see how that will happen, how people will move from playing the game into playing the bigger game. And I'll stay with the game within a game, because I'm okay with that.
I want to fight.
One thing.
Come in.
I think most people fall in love with virtual worlds because they meet friends. They meet someone who's special for them. I know I did, right? When I first walked in here and I was a complete newbie, I fell in love with some people. I became a DJ and I was in this disco and I had no idea what I was doing. But I started to meet friends, and those friends took me places. And, the great thing about these realms is that you give someone a purpose, an opportunity to go meet somebody who will hopefully, like Chimera. Chimera Madison, you said, she happens to be here in the house, and she said, we should go and check out this realms, because we both love games, right? And so hopefully many of us will go there and hopefully talk to somebody who's new or who's learning or who needs a little bit of help. And when everybody gets together and does that, I think people will tend to stay. So I actually think it's a great marketing tool. I think it's fun. It gives somebody things to do. Even us who are, designers or busy working, whatever. I feel, a little bit curious about going on and playing myself,
Well, I'm going to add something here, because I came in earlier. I'm going to add something here because I came in earlier today and I was faffing around. I just rushed through the login, and I rushed in so fast. I don't know whether I inadvertently touched something, but what came up on my screen was a little message. And I'm in the new version of Viewer 2 that's sometimes called Viewer 3. So this little message came up with a little face on it, like, hello, I'm customer service, only it was an avatar, right? And it said, if you want to know anything, teleport, click this teleport, and it will take you to a person who will help you. Now, I've been bewailing the fact that they let go of the mentor system earlier, a couple of years ago, really now, and it was the mentor system that kept me in, certainly, because I had never experienced being helped in that way, such sort of certainly felt to be untrammeled help and friendship, and let me show you this, that, let me show you how to build, and that's what kept me in as well, Frolic. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm just wondering if there are any comments from the audience here, and they're being very nice and quiet and listening, I'm assuming. So, listen, if you have any comments on the net or in world, just IM us. We will get it out there. We will bring it into the discussion that we're having. So basically, Linden Realms, a good thing. So that's the end of our subject 1 for today. Now, subject 2 for today, I'm going to turn to Malburn's writer. Malburn's, I remind you, you have 3 minutes at the most introduction time.
Yes, I play Mastermind or something, isn't it? Okay. Well, this is a user-submitted thing we've come in today. It's been triggered by an article in Tector.com entitled that the Red Cross wants to put real-life laws enforced within virtual worlds. Now, this, at first sight, is not a new story. There have been there have been whole debates about the extent to which real-world laws can be applied in virtual worlds for a long time, and quite frankly, the answer is that real-world law rules. If certain things happen in virtual worlds that are under the radar or something, then if the world is small enough, they're going to be missed. But if it comes to court, any jury or judge or whatever is going to make a decision based on real-world law, so long as it's a tangible law that they can see as applying. The interesting thing I found in this article we were given is that the Red Cross thing is issued by their international committee. And it seems that they're actually concerned with things like the Geneva and Hague Conventions being applied in video games. So it goes beyond what we might call real world law in terms of, I don't know, property, copyright, IP rights or something else, to the very notion of ethical conduct and, people should not be making war in virtual worlds because you shouldn't be making war full stop. And, should the United Nations come in to stop, activities in the virtual world or something, which are of a national origin. There's a whole minefield of stuff to be opened up here. So, it's really open discussion, really. How much should we see? I think probably it's not a question of real world law being enforced in virtual worlds, but how much should we see these kind of activities increasing to make sure that real world law is enforced in virtual worlds if it needs to be. But as I say, it is a minefield. So I'll throw it back to you here, I think.
Okay, right. Well, I've got a comment from the audience here from Sylvia Constantine, and she said it's about her vision about virtual worlds. And actually, she was commenting. She came in with a late comment on our previous subject, but it's really pertinent to this as well, I think. She says, I think everybody loves virtual worlds because here they can be whatever they want to be, without the fear of some prejudice or bad comments or the bad eyes of people and society. So in a funny way, it's used for escape, to show something that you believe, and she's found that people agree with that on the whole. And so basically, I mean, the conventions that you cite there, Mal, are to do with human rights, aren't they? So if we put that out, if we say, okay, this is not a utopia, right? This is not a utopia. There aren't laws here. This is, I don't know, it's somewhere like Casablanca or so. Is that a free port or something like that? Are we without rules? Come on, guys.
Well, I think if I just a couple of other words there, I think there's a great feeling amongst people in many of the elder residents of Second Life and its forerunners. There's this pioneering spirit where we feel like we're on a kind of frontier, and we tend to forget, because we're amongst like-minded folk who tend to be fairly, intellectual, educated, whatever. We tend to forget that when a platform grows and becomes a sort of mass market kind of appeal, then you really are getting, Second Life has got a wide cross-section of society in it. It's a sort of society in microcosm. But, as it grows, it brings a lot of the old world baggage in with it. And I, for one, for example, take religion and politics. These are things that actually are probably responsible for almost all conflicts in the world, especially fundamental politics, fundamental religion. And yet, I increasingly see, and I have to say I feel uncomfortable when I see evangelistical type things happening in the virtual environment, because I think, oh God, it's all this old world garbage coming in. But then again, freedom of expression, who am I to say it shouldn't? I think sometimes, the evangelists start spoiling environments for it because they're out to control us. But, there are certain values that we hold dear in the real world. We don't go around clobbering over people with spiked baseball things like cavemen used to do. We just don't do that. So as the power of what you can do virtually becomes greater, then I think we need to take that into account.
Any comment from the rest of the sofa?
Well, this goes back to the I say age-old argument, and age-old is probably not that old because Second Life isn't really that old, of the limits of human imagination and what you are free to do with your mind. Because what's being suggested here by the folks in the Red Cross is that if you were to have a sim within Second Life where you were happily waterboarding your avatars, then that shouldn't be allowed. That there should be designed into the game rules that says that sort of behavior isn't allowed. And that's the problem, because the other thing that we know about the virtual world is that it isn't real. As I always say to people, Control Q will get rid of all your problems. So if you're being attacked or you're being waterboarded, Control Q will take care of that. And the question is whether there is real harm or not being done within the game. And within any of these, the fantasy worlds that we inhabit, then that's always up for debate. We spend time as well talking about things like the Gorian way of life, where women are essentially slaves. And we just know that in the real world, slavery is frowned upon. It might help with unemployment, but, we frown on it a little bit. Yet, within the Second Life environment, people give in to being slaves, or they're happy to do that, or, people engage in all sorts of illegal type of behavior, but they do it within a framework over which they have control. So the question is whether there's harm being done. And I know that that's one of the questions that the folks in the legal profession come across, which is the amount of harm that's done. And trying to prove harm is always the tricky bit. So I would be very concerned about people trying to, tell people what they can and cannot do. I think the ultimate is Control Q, and that'll tell you what you can or cannot do something.
I like to jump in here, Dusa.
Sure.
Yeah, I just want to make a little reference to what he said about not being real and whether the harms are real and all that, because it really, I suppose if you're, role-playing, in which you become another person within another world, then, and you get beaten up, well, fine. I suppose that's not very real, and Control Q does get rid of that problem. However, when you live your second life as yourself and doing things that are, that come from your imagination and you bring it out to the world, like, I don't know, something like Miss Virtual World or my magazine or my model agency or, my shopping centers. These are things that are very real, do you understand? Because I do accept money in exchange of my services, you see, and, so do thousands of designers. They put out a product and they put it for sale and somebody buys it, and those people make money in the real world. And I don't know how designers feel when somebody blogs about them and they go, this is the ugliest dress I've ever seen, but I think that actually touches real life person, and it's not something you can log off so easily about. It offends the person, the real person. I know that at the very beginning of this game, some people started saying all kinds of things about me. That I rigged the pageants, that I did this. And at the beginning, I was like, oh my God, why are all these people saying these things? And I would actually freak out in real life. Like I would turn off the computer, yes, but this sadness or worried or how when an injustice has been made, one tends to become very, apathetic or sad or, something there happening. I know people that have cried real life tears because of things that have been said in here. So I don't know that it's that simple where you can just log off and forget all about it. I think what you do need to do is become very strong and, of course, very, very ethical in what you do, so that from now on, whatever they say, well, it just kind of slides, But I think Second Life is very, very real. To me, it is. Anyway.
Yeah.
But
I've got a comment here from Pauline Lefebvre. Linden Lab created rules of respect and organisation. Any landowner has the right to create their own rules, but never upon human rights. Second Life is a universe, will all be good or bad things from real life. There are prejudices and fetishism and all bad things. Not even Linden Labs can control that and avoid it. But I still believe, this is Pauline, I still believe SL can and will be used in the future for enterprises and organisations, training and simulation of real-life situation like rescue and medical care. Linden Labs will, in my opinion, run to a professional approach and divide the metaverse itself in game and social network platform and in the professional world. So, basically, and Pauline's very eruditely placed that, really, and she's right, isn't she? You can't control everybody and what they do in their own little corner of the world. Nobody can really tell, can they, until they stumble on it?
I think, yeah, I think there's one big confusion here. In games, video games, most of them are subject to the same sort of verification we have with cinema. You know, you have stuff for kids, you have stuff for sort of adults, you have X-rated stuff. And this is where the rules are being laid out by the game makers. But when you have, I think the issue with virtual environments is a whole different thing, especially places like OpenSim and Second Life, where everything is user-generated and user-created. And the ground rules are very, well, there's several pages of them actually, but at heart, there's not really that much to them. They're very simple rules. And I think it's when the creation and the community is in fair democratic hands, I might add, that the problems could arise because it's do users create their own police forces and stuff like that to combat it? But I mean, I obviously things like Frolic mentioned to do with libel and stuff really upsetting people are relevant, but I think that the real problem is immersion. We don't like breaking the immersion. We even moan at Linden Lab if things happen that break our immersion. And when you're immersed in an environment, it does become very real to you. Now, rationally, we all know we can click the escape button. But in practice, when something happens, and it certainly happened to me, I don't press the escape button. I panic and I start arguing, or I retaliate, or I do the thing that I would do if it happened in real world life. I can't teleport away from a guy with a knife in the organic street. I can do here, but somehow if you're fully immersed and engaged, it's not the first thing you think of, even though rationally you should. And it's quite possible, that I tend to think of the future when I'm answering questions like this. And, it doesn't exist yet, but there will become a point where it might be possible for an avatar to assault me with some kind of weapon. And that weapon may include something like a computer virus too, so that it does do actual harm to me or the data that represents me. And
I think it has to do a lot with, and I'm sorry for interrupting you, Malbors, but I think I think it has to do with consent. You see, when you enter World of Warcraft, well, you're going to be killed by a monster with I don't know what kind of horrid powers, and. But you know this, so therefore you are engaging in a game which you understand and which you know about, understanding the rules very, very clearly. But on the other hand, when you are shopping in Second Life and some guy comes to you and hits you with a weapon and kills you and pushes you and does all these things, well, that's annoying because that's not part of your game at that moment, you see. Or when you have somebody criticizing you publicly in some forum, or you see these are things which you do not agree with or agreed by, you see, so it becomes something completely an unexpected attack, not only in a game which you have agreed, or you see, but on your social skills, which is a completely different thing because they're attacking you, the person behind the avatar, you see. So I think that there's two different things here altogether.
Yeah, it's definitely our real-world selves that are being affected by any kind of discomfort or attack in world. And you've got to remember, I mean, things that we may write off as rude or just downright nasty or offensive in real life, the culprits here are often hiding behind anonymous avatars, which can make it worse because you've got no recourse like you have in real life. So I think there's a lot of issues here, but I think a lot of these things do have to be taken individually. I mean, the military, for example, they put pilots through simulations like Second Life, and they teach them how to drop bombs that may be killing thousands of people. And the end result of that is they then go and pilot robot aeroplane drones that do drop bombs and kill thousands of people. So there is a correlation between simulation and the real world. It depends how far you take it, really.
Okay, I'm going to throw something in here. I mean, if that is the case, aren't they contravening the convention, the Geneva Conventions, by using what is basically a social network for? But they are on separate platforms, so still they can do what they want. They can use this programming for anything that they want to use it for, can't they?
Anybody who's got a private sim in Second Life, and that was an island, and controls entry and stuff like that can do pretty much what they want, as far as I can tell. And certainly on OpenSim and behind firewalls, they can certainly do whatever they want.
But again, it's the distinction between the real world and the virtual world. If I am within the virtual world piloting my droid and blowing up enemy combatants, whatever you may call it, I'm not actually blowing up enemy combatants. When you get to the point where you're in the real world and doing that, that's a different thing. And then you are covered by the Geneva Convention or whatever. But it's the distinction between what I think the Red Cross were talking about here was actually looking at enacting special laws that would apply within the activities of a virtual world, which is very different from the application of real world laws to the virtual environment. And, as Frolic says, many of us who are in Second Life are doing things which are real. They have impacts on us, and we make real money, and we can get really ripped off and really slandered and really libeled. But there are laws that you can use to go against that, which, as I say, is different from creating a new law that says you can't waterboard in a virtual world. And I think that was what was that was the difference, as Mal was saying. This is why this is somewhat a different twist on what was happening in terms of virtual law.
Well, on a lighter note, Camara Madison, with whom who has threatened to bring a pea shooter into this very room right now, probably contravening every convention there possibly is, as this is an area of peace. Yes, Camara Madison, I'm just talking about you and your pea shooter. You cannot bring it into this environment because it is against our convention. It is against the Frolic Mills Convention. And you can't aim it at Mr. Mills unless it goes with his outfit. Now,
how dare she talk about her garden in the middle of our serious discussion? I mean, Chimera, seriously, she is just desperate for attention, I'm telling you. But the only and what she really means to say is that she just released a beautiful dress and that she wants everybody to go buy it right now. So that's what she really meant by it.
Well, I think you bring that up at exactly the right time, because we're going to segue very smoothly into our guest, Mr. Frolic Mills, and the forthcoming Miss Virtual World 2012. Now, Frolic, I have been reading your one of your groups that which you were promising gossip in this program.
Well, hello, it's Miss Virtual World. How can there not be gossip? There is.
And we are sitting on your sim. I should say that these beautiful views you can see outside these windows of our spacecraft, our space studio. We are sitting on the Patch Thibaud Auditorium area here on the Couture Boulevard Sim.
Yes, we're actually in the middle of the water, Deuce. A very peculiar place for you to pick to put the studio, but it works.
Yeah, well, I like the ozone. That's why it makes my brain work in the middle of the night. So come on, Frolic, you're right in the middle of Miss Virtual World heats, aren't you, at the moment? And I know I've seen lots of exhausted models tramping up and down beaches in big frocks.
Well, Deuce, all kinds of things have happened this year. I mean, I have a few points to touch, but one of the most worrying, and I'm sure you were there, so you can vouch for me here, was the first rehearsal for Miss Virtual World. That first go was such a disaster. I was so worried. I went, oh my Lord, whatever happened to the models? Because, you believe in, when you're given instructions that somehow it's clear in everybody's head. And then I go, does everybody understand? And they go, yes, very nice, like a little school. And then you go, okay, let's get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Virtual World Contestants 2012. Go. And nobody moves, Deuce, and nobody moves, and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And yesterday was so funny. I mean, what line started to walk, the other line did not. Some girls tripped, some others went off the rail. I mean, unbelievable. I was like, oh my Lord, God help us on the day of the pageant. So, so that's your first little gossip. The first rehearsal was a major disaster. And, I have to take advantage of... Oh, Sylvia, it was bad. Come on. Chimera, Sylvia's here saying, oh, it was not that bad. It was horrible. But it got better by the third time, hopefully, yes. All right, so Chimera's here. We have to talk about her little gossip. She was,
Oh.
oh yeah. So Chimera and I talk a lot on Skype, and I think a lot of people know that. And she's, of course, one of the executives of Miss Virtual World organization. So, of course, we tend to comment all the time. And one night, one fine evening, here we are. She's going, "Oh, I'm going to make this and I'm going to make that for I don't know who," and all of a sudden she goes, "What am I going to do for the national costume of Miss Australia?" So, well, my immediate reaction is to Google it, right? So I go into Google, I type, national costume Australia, and so I go, "Oh, this is kind of cute. Oh, look at that," and that's all I did, right? And she starts looking, and Natefall did the same thing and suggested some other stuff. Well, next day, first news, Mr. Mills has decided who the winner is already. Miss Australia, he is helping Chimera make her dress. And I'm like, oh my God, how can you say
You
that?
can't do anything, can you?
Oh my Lord, I guess so. So there I am. All of a sudden I became a designer, and I'm helping design that dress for Chimera. And, it's funny. I when she said Miss Australia, I had no idea I didn't even know who Miss Australia was. I just, because she didn't mention the name of the girl who actually represents Miss Australia. But anyway, people already decided that I am designing for one of the girls. So there you go. That's gossip number 2.
Well, I should point out here that there are 30 girls competing in the finals. This is the finals. There've been masses of heats, really beautiful heats. The Winter Wonderland a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week ago, and the Miss Virtual World 2012 finals are on. Well, you better tell them all the details, Frolic.
Well, and this is the thing, Dusa. Winter Wonderland was such a beautiful show. And, Serene Faith, of course, was very emotional. And all of the girls, they were making comments, "Oh, my God, I'm crying. This is so beautiful. This is so..." And, it's like they all came... One of the things that I'm really, really grateful for is that this year, all of the girls... came together to do something for Serena, and they wrote this beautiful letter, and they gave her a beautiful gift by Eula Fine-Smith. It's a custom-made necklace, and it was just really beautiful. And and that's the first time I've ever seen that. Where the girls are actually not thinking about their own dress and their own crown and their own competition, but they actually took some time, and I'm betting a lot of time, to organize something for the reigning Miss Virtual World. And I thought that was very classic. And Dusan, that's what I mean. You see so much love within the girls, in this public displays of affection. But yet someone, somewhere, is the one that probably made that comment about Risa Filler. And I go, wow. So you never know who you have, and you see this, things where, they're always very grateful, and they're so thankful, and they're so happy, and you make them cry. And a lot of people did cry during that show. It was actually a very beautiful show. And then there is this really dark side that, that prompts them to say, anything,
Yeah.
So anyways, it's something I've learned to live with. And it was just fabulous, says Annoy Me Resident. Thank you, Annoy Me.
I'm going to throw out a question here, actually, to anybody on the sofa, and in fact any of the people in the audiences, is that we are all in one virtual world. This particular virtual world has more or less as its official language English in one form or another, right? Whether it be US or UK, but it's basically US English, I would say. I think it's fair to say.
Venezuelan English rules.
So we're all talking English from at least 180 countries, different points of view and perspectives. Is there a problem with that when you come to do these mass events? And any of you guys, when you're walking through Second Life, and I know you're terminally sociable, Sigmund Meerminster, for example, do you have a problem making yourself understood?
If you're talking to me personally on that one, do I have a problem being understood? Of course I'm bilingual. I speak English and American, so that's always useful. But gosh, most people in the rest of the world speak English better than I speak anything else. And actually, I tend to find that no matter where folks are from, they seem to be able to communicate quite well, and I rarely have problems. Very rarely have problems.
If I may add something, I was very happy that you didn't ask me anything right after Malburns spoke about the Red Cross, because I did not understand a word he said. So there you go. But, you know, well, and I mean, and I don't mean that in a bad way, Malburns. It's just that I really had a hard time. I'm like, Red Cross what? What is it? Because I understood, like, Red Cross lords. We're creating lords in Second Life or in Virtue. And I'm like, lords? And it was laws. And then I understood that, like, by the end. So, but anyway, so I just commented on... So when I finally understood something about my partner here next week, oh my god, I can't see his tag for some reason. Anyways, that's what I said. Okay, I understood what he said. So I made a comment about Second Life being very real, thank God. So I was able to add that, but I was happy that you didn't ask me anything about Malburns, because I had no idea what he was talking about. Anyway.
Mal,
well, I will endeavour to speak slowly and carefully from now on. And
well, thank you.
Oh no, it'll take longer.
Exactly.
Maybe you're all night.
I think I've just been kicked in the butt there, haven't I, actually? Although I do sympathise, I like Sigmund, you know, I'm bilingual, American and English these days. A touch of French and stuff too. I find it actually... interesting. There are an awful lot of language-orientated sims here. I mean, we were looking at, literally half an hour before I came on air, there was a news thing, but it was in Italian, and it was, you know, some big fashion show that's happening right now, I believe. And, you know, you go to these events, and quite frankly, everybody is speaking in their local language, so it's not all that universal. I tend to struggle in those environments. I have to admit, you can put these translator widgets on, but they really don't work as well as they should do. But usually, I've always been fairly confident I could make myself understood. Having spoken to Frolic tonight, maybe I should re-examine that claim.
Okay, now at the back of not at the back of the set because it's a circle, so it can't be at the back. But as our opposite window, we have three beautiful ladies standing in front of it, and I'm going to go back to Frolic to actually draw focus to why they're standing there. I said earlier that Belle, for example, has a mystery about her person.
Belle Roussel?
Yes.
Well, Belle Roussel, for those who don't know, she's a Shop Sway jewelry designer, and she contacted me about a month or so ago, and she said, Frolic, I want to create something for the 12 finalists as a gift. And you know, the only thing I suggested, you know, maybe like a tiara or something like that. And today she said, Frolic, they are ready. And she has created that amazing, you see it on Federica Gatien, Why Is This a Magsonar? And it's a really beautiful piece. It reminds me of Cleopatra, and it's like an upside down crown, but I think it really frames the face really beautifully. And you can change it to gold or platinum. And she gave me the little news that it can come in any single color that you want. So the stones can be diamonds or blue or red or, you know, any color. And I just saw it again in right before the show in gold with red, and it looked really royal, really beautiful. So I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to take a guess here. All of the 12 finalists can IM Belle and choose a color. Belle, don't kill me if that wasn't the correct offer, but there you go. No, it is.
They are absolutely stunning, aren't they?
Yeah, it's really beautiful. I was really happy she made that for the girls. I mean, these girls work so hard, and I'm, you know, the bad boy, and I don't give them anything except for a lot of work. So I'm very happy that somebody came to the rescue and is giving them a little something to remember the contest bag. Yeah.
Frolic, I'm going to ask you a question now. I know what goes on behind the scenes of these events, right? I have, I'm getting quite familiar with the amount that I know that we do a lot of work, and I know that you do a lot of work, and indeed the girls do a lot of work. So when you started off, well, I mean, I have one question really, is what possessed you? So that's the question, I suppose. What possessed you to start? And I suppose, is it one of those things maybe that if you knew then what you know now?
What possessed me to start Miss Virtual World? Is that the question?
Yes. Yes.
Well, this is the 5th year, so I sort of have it in very back of my mind, but I will tell you, it's actually a pretty good thing. I used to, at the beginning of my Second Life, I used to help some new models, with KMAT agency, how to get them started, and then I used to help, Maddox Dupont and to choreograph shows for them. So one day, Giancarlo Tacax of Costa Rica says to me, Frolic, why don't you create something like Miss Universe in the virtual world? And so I said, no, I'm not that kind of person. I don't care about pageants. It's just not what I do now. No. So I shied away from that offer at that moment. And later, Giancarlo and I stopped talking, and Maddox and Kirk would say to me, oh, I miss you two guys. You were so funny together, and blah, 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 blah. And I said to Kirk, okay, you know what? I am going to launch Miss SL Universe. And I have an idea that he will talk to me if I do this. and that's how it actually started. It was actually a bet between Kirk and Maddox and me, and launched it, and next day, Giancarlo Tacax opened and oh, can I do a Miss Costa Rica and send you the girl? I said, okay. And so, anyways, we recovered our friendship because of that. And, the first year, I just did not know how popular this thing was going to be. It was something that I expected, I don't know, to get 10 girls or something and just do a little pageant and do that. But it became so huge. And right now, Miss Virtual World, this is going to be the 5th year of Miss Virtual World. But, one of the reasons why I've kept it, despite all the hard work, and you know how hard it is because I think it helps the economy a lot. I mean, this is not Frolic Mills. This is not Basel. I mean, you know how many people create hairs, skins, fashions, photographers, they all benefit from Miss Virtual World. You say it's so huge, and it really puts the SL. It even benefits Linen Labs, if I'm honest with you, because all of these people, they create things, they blog things. It just. I mean, search Miss Virtual World in Google one day, and you will see what I mean. It's huge. I mean, millions and millions of entries about it, and so. I don't see any reason why we should take it off. I think designers are happy. I think photographers are happy. I think models are very happy, and you give really something that is valuable to a lot of people, and therefore, I think Miss Virtual is here to stay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Foxy Wilder has just commented from the audience here. It all starts with how to make a box, and it is.
Not this one.
It is that.
Not this one. Miss Virtual World, no. I did not expect one penny out of that first year when I started it,
No, how to make a box. To just res a prim.
Oh,
res a prim. You come in World and you learn how to res a prim, and that's more or less the first thing you learn, even if it's accidentally,
Oh, absolutely, yes. I thought you said how to make a buck.
No. I did that. We haven't got the answer to it. Metaverse television. So, guys, it's 5 minutes away from our finishing. So I would like you all to sort of summarize your day today, your opinions today or something. Mal Burns, you have 2 sentences.
Oh dear. I did see a post just before we came on air. The Valentino have opened. They're another Italian fashion house. Have opened a 3D virtual fashion museum on the web, and it's very like Second Life, avatar-driven fashion. But this is all real-world stuff. And being as we've had Frolic here, and we're talking about clothes in this virtual world, I think it's an important thing today. So I'll just leave us with that thought.
Thank you, Mel. Sigmund.
Well, Yeah, I just thought it's great to know that as the Eurozone crumbles and Greece gets ready to bring back the drachma, we've still got Miss Virtual World to look forward to. So it's nice to see that not everything's crumbling and falling apart. And I'm always amazed and fascinated by the amount of time and effort that goes into creating the the sets and the outfits and the jewelry and all this. And as I say, I can just about make a box. So I just think that's a wonderful thing. It's just a wonderful thing that's happening.
And Frolic.
Miss Virtual World comes to you live December 17th at 10 a.m. SLT. However, we will have a great red carpet hosted by Editorial Clarity and Persia Bravin. So you will be able to see everything that goes on 1 hour before we go live. And it will, even the red carpet will be live on MetaverseTV.com/live. And also I wanted to say that Serene Faith, our reigning Miss Virtual, will be behind the scenes, right backstage with all of the girls, interviewing some of them and letting you know what's going on at all times. So I think it's going to be really cool to have that all this year, so that if we have something here, we have something there, and just give a lot of options and opportunities to really get inside the pageant. What do you think?
Thank you very much, Frolic. And yes, I agree. I think the more that we broadcast these things onto the net, the more that people see the possibilities that they have in front of them, and we can found expectations of lots of lunatic people wandering about the net. Of course, we do have our loony side, and why not? Otherwise, we wouldn't put all the hours we put into this. But it is very worthwhile. There's a lot of satisfaction in it. And I think I am here to say thank you to our audience. They all came up sitting here looking absolutely yummy. And thank you to all our audience, very chatty lot on the net as well. And thank you to Sigmund and Malburns and Belle Roussel and, oh my lord, Federica Garcier, and I don't know whether I can pronounce your name properly, Whiteism Exonar. So I hope that's right, our lovely ladies over there. And of course, Mr. Frolic Mills. So we will be here again in 2 weeks' time with more opinion, reviews, chat, argument, debate, and matters. So if you have a subject matter, if you have something important to say, if you have something going on, let me know. And Sigmund Learminster says, and Christmas cake, because it will indeed be our Christmas edition. So thank you very much, and good night, everybody.